May 18th, 2022, Hilkhot Sedaqah, Part 8. We're in Rambam, the 8th chapter of Hilkhot Matanot Aniyim, and Halakha is number 7. Before we begin Halakha 7, you recall the last Halakha 6, we're talking about somebody who donates something to the Beit Knesset, if it can be exchanged for something or not. Now, Halakha 7 begins. B'meh debarim amurim. What are we talking about? What are we referring to? B'shehaya hamitnadeb Yisrael, when the donor was a Jew. Aval haya goy, but if the donor was a Gentile, a non-Jew, asur l'shanotah, it is forbidden to change what the Gentile donated to the synagogue. Afilu lidbar mizvah, even for another sacramental item, something of mizvah. Ad shishtakah shem bi'aleha mi'aleha, until that time that the name of this donor has been forgotten from that item. Let's say 100 years or so has passed. The people that were around that accepted the donation no longer around. They're not there to associate his name with the item that was donated. The donor is no longer around, his children are not around, nobody really knows or has a connection to it. At that point, things can be changed. Shemeh yomru hagoy, because if not so, then possibly the goy will say, Hikdashti davar lebet hakneset shel Yehudim, I sanctified something to the synagogue of the Jews, umachru oto la'asman, and they took it and they sold it to keep the money for themselves. And obviously that would be a desecration of God's name. Halakha Hayat, number 8. Goy, she'itnadeb lebedek habayit. A goy, a Gentile, who donated for the upkeep of the bayit. The bayit refers to the Beit HaMikdash. En mekabelin mimenu tehillah. We do not accept from him initially. Ve'im nakhu mimenu, but if they happen to have taken from him, en mahazirin lo, they do not return it to him. But if it was something specific, something that's affixed, kegon, korah, or eben, like a beam or a stone, mahazirin lo, they do return it to him. So that the Gentile does not have anything permanent in the Beit HaMikdash. Like the Pasuk in Ezra says, Lo lachem valanu libnot bayit lelohenu. It is not for you together with us to build a home to our God. And then the Pasuk continues, it's only for us to do. Aba lebet HaKnesset. Now that refers to the Beit HaMikdash, but to the Beit HaKnesset, to the synagogue, mekabbelim mehem lechatahillah. We definitely can accept from them. Vehu shiomar beda'at Yisrael frashti. But only applies if the Gentile says that I am giving this based upon the knowledge and the thinking of the Jewish person. Lo amar ta'un geniza. But if he does not say it, then ta'un geniza, basically they put it into storage. Shemeh b'libo l'shamayim, because this is something between him and Shamayim and God. ואין מקבלין מהן לחומת ירושלים ולא לאמת המים שבה. And they do not accept from a goy for the walls of Jerusalem, nor for the brook of water that goes there. שנאמר, ולכם אין חלק וצדקה וזיכרון בירושלים. In the book of Nehemiah, it says again about the Gentiles that Yerushalayim is a place for the Jews, and the Jews need to upkeep it completely by themselves, and the non-Jew does not have a portion in taking care of Yerushalayim. Halakha Tet. Asur leYisrael litol sedakah min hagoyim befarhasya. It is forbidden for a Jew to publicly go and ask for charity from a non-Jew. But if he is not able to survive based upon solely the tzedakah he receives from Jewish people, and he's not able to go and request tzedakah from a non-Jew in private, in secrecy, in a hush-hush manner, then it becomes permissible for him to do it in a public fashion. Umelech or sar min hagoyim. Well, let's go back to that for a second. The main reason is that so it should not look like Jews aren't supporting their own, and then it becomes a mockery and a desecration of God's name, and therefore we don't want to go and accept it from the non-Jew. But if it's necessary for a person to live, and he has no choice, then of course he could go to anybody to get tzedakah. Umelech osar min hagoyim sheshalach mamon leYisrael tzedakah. Now, if a non-Jewish king or a officer, representative of the government, for example, sent money to the Jewish people for tzedakah, en mahazirin otolo, we do not return it to him, mishum shelo malchut, for the sake of the peace of the kingdomship of the government. Illa notnim mimenu, rather we take it from him, v'naten la'aniyeh goyim baseter, and then we the Jewish people go and give it to non-Jewish poor people in private, so the king does not hear what we did with it. We still are doing something positive with it, but it wasn't the original intention of the king, and we don't want to embarrass the king, and we don't want to sever relations with the king, so we take the money from him, we accept it, but we then go and give it for a different purpose of supporting paupers of the non-Jewish people.